Standardized testing flaws. Standardized testing is, well, there are many different definitions, but for me, standardized testing is any test that is based off a curriculum that is just you sit down, answer questions. Standardized testing in schools is not a valid or accurate way to judge a student's understanding on a topic. For this is because of many reasons, so with the actual test and with what the test brings along with it. So, for example, teachers focus more on teaching to the test rather than helping their students understand the knowledge, or flaws with the test in itself, such as having multiple right answers to a question. Standardized testing also brings many stresses to teachers and students. Teaching to the test and how teachers contribute to the flaws of standardized testing. So teachers focus too much on teaching the kids information just to help them with the test and not to actually understand or absorb the knowledge they need to know for the future. This may be because of different incentives for the teacher, such as having high class averages, which once again would lead to them teaching to the test. This causes many students not to be able to retain knowledge, which will be useful in later tests or the end of course exams. Instead, it teaches them how to do good on the next test they have. In other words, it helps with short-term, but not long-term benefits of knowing the knowledge. Standardized testing creates unnecessary stress for students and teachers. For students, this can come from the stresses of having to do good on a test to maintain a high grade in the class, or having stresses the night or week before on studying and understanding all the knowledge before the test. For the teachers, it can come from making sure that their room is good, making sure kids don't cheat, and having to grade all the different papers afterwards. So this leads to the teachers not focusing on how to help their students, but just finishing grading tests, making sure everything's good, which leads students not to know anything about how they did wrong or bad on a test. Standardized tests have too much weight on a student's grade. So this means that one test, if one student does bad on a test, it can bring their grade down by a whole entire letter grade, from an A to a B, B to a C, etc. So for me, this has affected my schooling career very greatly. So I'm usually a straight A student, but if one test goes bad, then I could be a C or even a B student. So the standardized tests are not designed in a way that creates students to do as good as they know the information tested to them, rather than how to take a test. So many students have flaws such as bubbling errors, or maybe too much stress leads them to forget what they really do know, and this can cause a bad grade, which then could affect their entire grade in the class. They also may not show knowledge, but instead, if a student is good at taking tests, so maybe one student A may know everything that is on the test perfectly, but they're bad at taking tests and get a worse grade than a student who barely even paid attention in class, studied the night before, but is very good at taking tests. The rebuttals. Some people say that standardized testing helps pinpoint where a student may have gone wrong in the knowledge they learned during a subject. This could be true. However, since, as said before, most tests are not seen by the student after the day they take them, mostly due to the teachers not going out of their way to tell each student that they grade what they did wrong. And then, in addition to that, some say it is convenient and efficient. While this is true, the question comes of, at what sacrifice? So what are you missing out on in order to have efficient and convenient ways of testing a student's knowledge? You lose things such as knowing if they really do have the knowledge, or if it's just good at test taking, or things such as do students really know everything, or just know certain different parts of the unit, and can they apply it in the future or not? And lastly, people say that standardized testing creates a basis for the curriculum. And while this may be true, standardized testing only assesses a very small part of a curriculum and what is taught, and not anything close to the whole thing that's covered.